Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Caleb and today I'm joined with my good friend Michael. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I should say welcome back actually. This is your second time on the show.
Yeah, we were on your channel with the Nissan 350Z.
Yeah.
And now we're here with Corvette.
I guess that's going to be my first question. So what made you get rid of the Z and replace it with this Corvette?
I've grown up around Corvettes. My family's had one for quite a while, so it's just cars that I was interested in. And I actually was able to get this version for cheaper than I got, my Z4. So this is something that I wanted more than I did my Z.
What specific Corvette model are we sitting in front of today?
So this is a 4th generation car. They call it the C4. More specifically, it's a 1989. But I wanted this one specifically because it was the first year they introduced the ZF 6-speed manual, but I also wanted a digital dash that was really iconic on this car. The year after that, 1990, they got rid of the digital dash. So there was only 1 year that you could get both, and that's 1989.
One thing that has kind of struck me is just like the design of the car. It's just a great retro look,
Yeah, I would actually describe this car not really as much of a classic car as I would more of like a retro car. So this car was built for performance, but the design, what I love is basically Corvette's interpretation of the 1980s. Okay. So you go through the generations of Corvette and it's kind of their interpretation of each era. And this was their interpretation of the 80s. And I thought it's really cool design. It's a wedge shape. And another reason why I love this car before they went to more of the rounded 90s C4s, and even the C5 for that matter, is that this car still has round circle taillights, which has kind of been for the longest time was a design staple of Corvette. I love the boxy lines on the car. So those are things that were important to me that check some boxes.
In terms of, general overall pros and cons of the car, walk me through some of those.
So this car has a lot of pros, has a lot of good things going for it. This particular car, red, black leather interior. I was actually looking for a white car because it kind of fit the Miami Vice vibe that was the era that this car was built in. I thought that'd be really cool and unique. This one came available red, black interior, and on a Corvette, and particularly sports cars, you really can't go wrong with that color combo. So I'm really glad that I have that. Great V8 power, it's reliable. The car has a ton of grip, really no body roll at all. It sounds good. It actually gets pretty good mileage. It has pretty good storage space. They have the space in the back that you can actually cover. The cover you can pull out, and then there's 2 compartments that are actually below that you can store stuff in as well. So it's actually pretty good and useful. So it's 245 horsepower from the factory, but the big number that is important is the torque, which is 340 pound-feet of torque, which feels significant when you're driving the car. That's how they made up for a lot of the fuel restrictions and the fuel economy requirements in the 80s was with torque. I really don't have a lot of cons for this car. I'd say that the only thing really is just getting in and out of it. It's kind of a pain. You actually have to crawl through the frame rail of the car and you sit in between the frame and the transmission. Not that great to get in and out of, but once you're in it, it's actually really comfortable. Otherwise, the cons list is very small. If you think about it, it's front engine, 2-seater, rear-wheel drive, manual, V8, and at the price point that you can get a really nice C4 Corvette for, it's really hard to find anything else.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, you want to take it out on the road for a spin?
I'd love to.
Let's do it. Cool. So Michael, walk me through the driving experience of this car. What's it like to get behind the wheel of?
It's a lot of fun to have a V8 under your foot that has a lot of torque.
Yeah.
The engine sounds great. The car's really planted. Like when you turn, there's hardly any body roll.
Okay.
It's got big wide tires.
Yeah.
The center of gravity is super low, so the car handles very well.
Yeah. There's a ton of visibility. That's the thing that stuck out to me is that, like, there's like no blind spots in this car at all, you know?
Yeah, it's great. The big rear window helps a lot.
Yeah.
The windscreen is really raked back, so you get a lot of it. But this also was ordered with the clear Lexan roof.
Okay.
So if this was like, you could get a body colored roof or a clear glass roof. This one was ordered with a glass roof, so it makes it feel even more spacious in here.
And it's removable, correct?
Yeah, it is. There's a specialty tool that they provide with the car, and mine still has it. And there's 4 screws that you undo, and then you can remove the whole roof, and you can actually stow it in the back here. There's spots for it.
This is a manual, so how's the transmission to drive with? Is it pretty easy to handle?
Yeah, it's great. It's really user-friendly. Corvettes have a lot of torque, so it's not that difficult to operate the clutch. The only thing with this transmission, which is fixable, is they introduced this transmission this year, and to save fuel mileage, they in certain RPMs, when you're in first gear, would actually lock out second and third gear. And that's basically a fuel mileage savings thing. Because it has so much torque, you could literally shift from first to fourth gear. Wow. And the car does fine. Wow. It's just annoying though when you're trying to get through an intersection quickly or something. And the car doesn't go into second gear and it goes into fourth. But you learn how to drive around it. So it's extremely annoying sometimes, but otherwise you just learn to work around it. And then one of the things I'm going to do coming up is just defeat it altogether.
Okay. Yeah. With that plug-in.
Yeah. Okay. It's a really cheap part you can get aftermarket.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was really good from the factory.
Yeah.
So anything I would want to do to it is just kind of allow what's already there to work better.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's part of the reason why I got this car is because each year another C4 came out, they just tweaked it little bit. So this one feels so much more sorted.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the highway, it's really comfortable, really smooth on the highway.
Yeah.
Haven't really had any problems. You can take it on long road trips if you want.
Yeah.
It's great in the twisty turns. It's, with the transmission, like we talked about earlier, really smooth. It's pretty good in stop and go traffic as well. This car has power steering. It's got all the updates and creature comforts and things like that, but it does not get in the way of the driving experience, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, good driving experience though.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So many people, or so many C4 owners don't drive their cars, and I have no idea why. I get that it's a trophy, or it's something you can go look at in your garage and enjoy, and clean and stuff like that. But part of the reason why I bought this car is because I wanted a good driving car.
Okay. Yeah.
This can handle modern roads with ease. Okay. Keep up with traffic.
Yeah.
Do pretty much anything you want it to do.
Really? Okay.
And also still deliver a really good driving experience.
It's got a great throaty sound to it.
It's a classic American V8 sound.
That's a good sound.
It's great, and this is easy for anyone that's looking for a manual too. This is very easy to rev match when you're downshifting. Okay. Because the response that you get through the pedals, you can feel exactly what the car wants to do. Okay. That's another thing. This car is built for twisty roads and to handle performance driving, but it's also built to handle the real world. Yeah.
I think to sum it up, despite being 30 plus years old, it's still a great usable daily driver car.
Absolutely.
Okay. How many miles does this thing have?
It only has 53,000 miles on it. Owned it for about a year, and I've put about 2,000 miles on it, which is a lot more than most Corvette owners would. It's been really worry-free. I've done one oil change on the car, but the previous owner spent a huge amount of money on this car in maintenance, like tires, brakes, water pump, the air conditioning compressor, alternator. He rebuilt the transmission. He put a new clutch in it. All this stuff, I don't know if it necessarily needed to be done, but this car feels so much better with all these major components that you're interacting with when you're driving the car. But that's also why I haven't had to put hardly any money into this car. I bought this car and I've just been driving it and enjoying it. I wanted to pick a C4 that was really well sorted from the beginning. So I wouldn't have to be making up for things that I know could have been better if I would have just gotten a year or two later. There's only a couple things I would do to it. The engine is great, kind of starved on air. So there's an open air box you can get that just allows more air to get through the air filter and into the engine. But there's this filler for the front license plate it's body colored and it fits the exact lines of the front that you could get. And it says Corvette on it and it's factory, it's how it should be. And for the life of me, I can't find one. You can find them on eBay or you can find them on the aftermarket, but it's difficult to find them because there's nobody that's actually making them aftermarket. So you have to find them from other cars and then you have to get it painted the correct color.
So you told me, you know, that you've driven almost every single model of Corvette, generation of Corvette. How does this compare to all the other generations, in your opinion?
So between the C1 and the C3, those are so much fun to drive as far as like a driving experience. Those kind of take you back in time. They're really cool. They're, you know, big 60s, big block cars and all this stuff. But you can't just, I'm gonna go hop on the highway and drive them to work kind of cars. They're not built for that. You really have to think that stuff through on a car like that and you almost expect it to break down. This car is better than those in the essence of that you can take it on road trips, you can take it in traffic, you can take it on the highway, you can take it on smaller roads or twisty roads and it's very reliable. You don't have to have the carburetor tuned, you don't have to do any of that because it's fuel injected. The C5, C6, those are great cars. The 5 had a lot of interior plastic rattles. The 5 and the 6, they were both trying to save a lot of money at General Motors at the time. So those cars aren't the best they can be. They're good. They're, very usable, user-friendly cars. This car is much more usable than a first through third generation car, but you also get a lot more character and personality than you do in like fifth or sixth generation cars. The seventh and eighth generation cars are just better at everything, but this car has a lot of like retro personality.
Hi everyone, I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my YouTube videos. It truly means the world to me and I cannot thank you enough. The last thing I'll say is all glory to God, God bless. Have a great rest of your day.